Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Razam Pereira. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday urged people to shun single-use plastic and encouraged the usage of jute and cloth bags to protect the environment. The Prime Minister urged startups and experts to find ways to recycle plastic, like using it in building highways, and appealed to shopkeepers to have boards in front of their shops saying, "Please don't expect plastic bags here. Bring cloth bags from home or take them from us at a price." On World Environment Day last year, the government had announced its intention to phase out single-use plastic like straws and cups by 2022. According to the Environment Ministry, about 20,000 tons of plastic waste is generated every day in the country, out of which only 13 to 14,000 tons are collected. Experts have maintained that the problem lies in the inadequate collection and recycling systems. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze how to get rid of the plastic menace. Joining me on the program today are Dr. Sunil Pandey, Director, Environment and Waste Management Division, TERI; Professor C.K. Varshney, environmentalist and former Dean, School of Environment Sciences, JNU; and Sandeep Sen, senior journalist and author. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Professor Varshney, let me begin the program with you. You know, a very important point raised by the Prime Minister in his address to the nation on Independence Day. Single-use plastic is a major problem that the world is battling at this point in time. The image behind us shows us exactly the scale of the problem. Let's first try and understand and put into perspective and realize what single-use plastics are and what are the harms caused by these plastics.
You see, the single-use plastic is one where you make use of the plastic material or article only once and just throw it into the environment. As you know that plastics do not decay, they are very resistant, and therefore they continue to remain in the environment and create all kinds of havoc. In the sense that at today's environment, plastics have become ubiquitous. They are found everywhere. The greatest depths of the marine system to the highest peak of the Himalayan system, that is Everest. So there is no place where plastics are not there. In fact, they were only from 1960 became popular. And within these 5 decades, they have really conquered the world. And they are going to stay, irrespective of what we do. So the fact of the matter is that it was only 2007 they were discovered, and from 1960 they really got the traction, and everybody developed a great fancy. And in fact, you will find that people are drinking their tea, they are bringing in single-use plastic, all kinds of food stuff and so on. And once they are thrown, they go into the drains, the water keeps them taking away to the drainage system, and then the cow and many other animals, if you provide some kind of a waste into it, then they are also taken up by them and creates a huge problem in their stomach and leads to death. And I think in case of rivers, etc., in wholesale from the land they delivered into the water environment, from water environment they are delivered on a large scale all over the world into the oceans. And you will find that in the North Pacific there is a very big garbage dump which is really floating and increasing in size. So a lot of wildlife, a lot of marine life, and a lot of other harms they are causing. To the extent now, very recently, a paper has been published from Svalbard and in the Norwegian as well as in the Greenland area and the Arctic, where they have found that even the snow there, which they have collected, contains all kinds of microplastic. So I think the single-use plastic is really ultimately gets degenerated and are left with the wear and tear, and because of the fraction into small and very small pieces, ranging from few micron to very, very small micron size, for which even we do not have adequate measures of estimation.
Right.
And all this, the difficulty is that with air we are breathing it in, and nobody knows that what are the medical consequences of this when the entire population breathes this microplastic. And not only that, microplastic also contains large number of other toxic chemicals. So I think that the kind of toxicants that get into our system has multiple effects which nobody knows.
Right.
And therefore, it is a very serious danger. And I think that what the Prime Minister has really advised and called is something which is long overdue, and I think we must do.
Sure.
So that by 2020 we are really free from it, and by October 2 we collect all the littered plastic and we really collect it and dispose it in a proper and scientific manner.
Absolutely. Is irreparable damage already been done? We'll come to that in just a bit. But Sunil Pandey, considered to be a miracle product when it was discovered.
Yes.
Today, it is one of the deadliest, products out there if you look at the ecosystem as a whole.
Yes.
How do we get rid of this problem?
See, as you also told in your opening remarks, that collection is one challenge, because in India, if you see the total recycling of plastics, around 60% is collected, but many countries and global average is much less than that, around 16 to 18% global average. And imagine whatever is not collected is ultimately going to the seas and marine and coastal waters. So probably the solution lies in devising good collection for the existing plastic, legacy plastic, and also looking at alternatives which will not be harming the environment so much. And I believe that once a new material is introduced and once there is economy of scale, for which India provides a good ground for introducing something because of our large population, alternatives also would be affordable in future.
Okay. Okay, we'll get to alternatives in just a bit, but before that, Sandeep Sen, as far as this particular problem is concerned, do we need a mindset change as well, as far as using single-use plastic? Because the people have gotten so used to it over the last few decades that it is difficult for the people to think beyond plastics.
You see, it's not only a mindset change. Every human being does something for profit. Plastic is cheaper, so people buy plastic. Plastic, if we have to ban plastic, we have to promote the alternatives. The alternatives like in packaging. In packaging, glass bottling is gone. Glass bottling has to be revived. Aluminium, which is there, if you can have a Coke container, in an aluminium container, then you can have milk also like that. It will cost a little bit more. Similarly, cloth bags, jute bags, they all have substitutes, but there is a cost for that. We have to be ready to pay the cost. That is one part of the problem. Is if we have to substitute plastic, then we can't say no to plastic. You have to say yes to glass, say yes to aluminium containers. You have to have alternatives. Unless you give the alternatives, it will all remain on paper. Second thing is the amount of single waste plastic which is already there in the environment. We are 10 years too late, getting into this problem. So the only problem today is to find technological solutions. Technological solutions like destroying plastic without segregation. There is technology today. I have written in TERI for Dr. Pandey. There is technological solution today where unsegregated waste can be destroyed at high temperature without the pollution effects. But the temperature has to go up very quickly.
Right. And what about the cost attached to it?
The cost is not very heavy, but it is a thing which is being done by the University of New South Wales in Australia. It is being done in a commercial scale in Australia, and it has to come over here in India. We also have ISRO. This is a NASA technology. So we also have ISRO. We also have entrepreneurs over here who can do it. But there has to be positive steps to take this technological challenge.
Right.
If you are thinking of old solutions, it will not work today.
Sure, certainly. Professor, how far along the way have we come as far as technology is concerned? Are there any best practices from around the world that we can use here in India to try and get rid of this problem?
I think I would like to make a few comments before I take up your question. Number one is that oftentimes we confuse that what is the cost, and cost is a factor. I think, have we actually analyzed what is the cost of the plastic? It is far more in terms of damage that is going to do and in terms of the threat that it poses. So I think first of all we have to really set out our economics correct. It is not the actual cost of the material, but it is the implication of it, which again has very high cost. And therefore it is suffering, and it is really costing us very dearly our fisheries. Any amount of large plastic that is available in our fish is totally rejected. So I think we must understand we are one of the major marine exporters, and therefore it is for our interest that our marine waters remain as free as possible from the plastic. There are a large number of alternatives which are suggested, and we say it is much better than the rest. I think that we have to think in a very different way, because there is a complete mindset that is required to change. For example, people say that we make road out of it and we do this, we do that, but we don't realize that as soon as the wear and tear takes up, far more difficult and tenacious microplastic comes up, and that is far more serious, about which I have just alluded to, that it gets into our lungs and so on. So I think this is not simply disappearing from your eyes does not mean that you have solved the problem of plastic. Plastic is not essential for survival. Let us understand this. And without plastic, civilizations have survived and flourished. And there is no reason that why the even present civilization with modern technology and alternatives available cannot flourish further. The only question is that we have to take a resolve. And it is not a question of some kind of a concession and with compromise that we say some plastic is right and the other plastic is wrong. Even the fabric is a very big source of the microplastic. The fibrils keep on floating in the air and they move all over the world. So I think that we must also understand when the plastic get into marine water, the North Pacific gyre really churns it up in such a big way that the fractions keep on producing. And you will find that because of that, the microplanktons, even the small particles enter into our bloodstream without your notice. So I think these are some of the very serious threats from this microplastic, the amount of which will keep on increasing. The number of particles that are floating we do not know. So I think we have to increase our capability of research, detecting them, finding out, quantifying them, and also to find out that from which sources which is coming. And we have to really cut down the use of plastic in a significant way. There are a large number of alternatives which could be possible, provided we really provide funds and resources to find out in a serious way the alternatives. There are only two things under the present circumstances: collect as much as possible. It is possible to heat the plastic, but then after heating, the problem is that they give out very carcinogenic gases such as furans and dioxin, and that is the reason that we cannot even burn them, we cannot even pyrolate them. So I think these are very, very difficult substances which are synthesized from petroleum. So you understand that if we reduce plastic use, we are reducing the mining of this petroleum, we are reducing the transportation cost, we are reducing the refining cost, we are reducing the pollution of the air and water where they are produced. So I think in one go we tackle many problems. Right. And therefore, we have to think about plastic altogether with this new perspective, which the present day research has opened up and has provided us a handle. Sure. Now the question is that how do we find out a correct way? Of course, the alternatives are going to cost us, but then we should be prepared to really face the cost, because we have already made huge profits. And those companies which have made a profit have a liability, and also they are morally responsible to fund such research to come up in a very targeted way the solutions which are simple and easy. Taking a jute bag or a cloth bag, to my mind, is the simplest solution. You can wash it and use again and again, and it provides employment as well as provide jobs and livelihood to many people.
Absolutely. So I think it's a win-win situation.
It's a win-win situation.
You're helping the cottage industry as well in the process by bringing out, helping them produce more and more jute bags and cloth bags.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me bring in the other speakers as well. Sunil Pandey, the professor just spoke about collection of, plastic and waste and all of that. So as far as waste management is concerned, how important is that as far as plastic is concerned? And are there any new techniques, new ways of trying to, collect this plastic and getting rid of it as well?
Collection, if you see, I mean, in a country like us, it's mostly informal sector, which is mostly responsible for collection. And why they don't collect certain kind of plastics is because there's no incentive. And why they collect certain kind of plastics? Because they make profit in that. For example, now you don't see PET bottles littered because PET bottles fetches them much higher prices compared to other polymers. So for the plastics, single-use plastics, as you said, straws and those thin bags and say earbuds, and I mean, not many people realize that even cigarette butts are plastic, and they also are included in single-use plastic. So for them, collection, to ensure that that collection happens, industries will need to build an incentive system, and they need to basically fund their collection as it's happening in. Now it started happening in many city governments, that large producers and manufacturers, they are funding collection. And I mean, MLPs on the other hand, if you see multi-layered plastics, so they're ensuring that they are collected. They pay some amount like 5 rupees a kg or 6 rupees a kg, and ensure that all this collected plastic finally goes to, now most popular solution seems to be co-processing that with cement in cement kiln as a alternate fuel, which is to me supposed to be good technology for getting rid of whatever can be collected and whatever can be then processed and sent to cement kilns for co-processing.
Absolutely. Sandeep Sen, are the people and are we as a whole aware of the medical consequences that are caused as a result of plastics? Because you see day in and day out people picking up water bottles, you know, pay 20 bucks, get a water bottle, drink the whole water bottle. You have those water bottles stored at home as well after that, you know, and people keep drinking from them, high temperature, keep them in the fridge and consume it as well. All this is having a toll on the body, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But as Professor Varshney was saying, you see, somebody has to do this cost benefit analysis. You cannot say that a plastic bottle costs 20 rupees. It costs much more than that. The health factor which you are saying and the waste disposal factor, if you take into that, then maybe it is one of the very expensive materials today. So, but somebody, the government or some institution should do a comprehensive cost benefit analysis of each type of plastic and get into details that each type of plastic can be substituted. We are talking only about the plastic which we see in retail to the consumer. But in the packaging industry itself, in the B2B sector, there are about 130 types. And there is no talk about that because you don't see that in the market. You know, it is all in the B2B sector. Without plastic packaging, there is no packaging industry. Everything comes in plastic packet. Now, for example, your food delivery. Food delivery today, it is home delivery is all in plastic
containers.
So,
yeah.
Containers. So, everything today is plasticized, and the big problem is that Saudi Arabia is investing in India to produce more petrochemicals and plastics. So, we are slowly becoming one of the biggest producers of plastic globally.
And consumers.
And consumers, of course, yes. But the problem is not only that we are becoming consumers, we are putting in industries which will make us subservient to plastic use. You see, that is another level of problem which will start, because the moment you start to remove that type of plastics, the industry lobby will tell you that why it is not so harmful. So, which will be a funded study. Here you don't have a funded study still. Here our universities are not doing a good job of educating the people. Our politicians are not doing a good job of educating people. Nobody is giving the big picture to the common man. And although there is a lot of awareness today, but that awareness is very this thing. And as you were saying, the medical costs are tremendous. The medical cost, the microplastic cost, and the cost in water, all the water bodies are today they're all full of plastic.
Sure.
So where is the water collection? We are talking about a water crisis in India. It will happen because all the bodies are clogged with plastic. And 40% or 30% of the waste today is not collected from the streets, which the government will never admit. But that is the truth.
Right. All right. Closing comments now from all my guests on the best way forward and what needs to be done in the near future and long-term plans as well. Professor, starting with you.
I think my submission is that we should really much not worry about the research and so on and so forth. It is very simple and straightforward. United Nations Environment Program 2008 has declared that they have got all the data available, not from here but elsewhere. I think it is universally applicable that the plastics are damaging both for health and to the environment and the ecosystem. And therefore, they have even declared the year and also a slogan dedicated the year 2008 for free from plastic. My only submission is that there are very simple solutions available. If in the grocery store you find that large dispensers of oil, large dispenser of detergents are available, and you take your bag, you get your detergent in same oil at a much cheaper rate, and therefore you bring your own. And I know, I have seen in literature describing at various places that people are running such stores, and they are become quite popular because you get the good stuff and you can see that, you can taste it, and then you bring it in your own container. And I think that's worthwhile. What use it is that you pay for it, as soon as you have used it, you just throw it and then create a very major problem, which becomes a common resource problem. And I think that is where the whole problem is, because once it is a problem for which there is nobody is responsible, you don't own it, and therefore you will find that even today the flood that we have in the country, both in north, south, and in the center, or in the Madhya Pradesh and so on, is also contributed because the drainage have been choked by these plastics and so on. So I think the distributed cost or the decentralized cost of plastic is very high. My submission is that it is possible to have a very large campaign where number of ways and innovative thinking of the people can help us to really get rid of this plastic use as early as possible.
Sure. Yes. All right. Sunil Pandey.
Yes, to some extent I agree with Professor Varshney. When he said that dispensing machines, and we already have those examples. For example, if you look at Mother Dairy Booths, there is provision of bringing your own container and getting milk, and similar things can be tried for other bulk consuming items. Also would be interesting to look at how reverse vending, there are reverse vending examples being tried in the country where
already started in
in Bangalore and Karol Bagh, and
five machines are already
there.
There are
some schools also now where reverse vending machines are being installed. So it would be interesting to basically also look at how we can fingerprint what goes in the market and how we can track if it is not if it's coming back or not. So that would be important.
Yeah, that would be interesting, and I'm glad that it has already started. Let's hope that the movement continues.
Yes.
Sandeep Sen, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
I believe that there are two parts to the entire problem. One is destroying the existing plastic through technology where no pollution is caused, and for that you have to use science and technology which is available today. The second problem is that go into the depth of each type of plastic and start replacing that at the industry level. Talk to the industries, get replacement for item by item. So if we are able to do these two things separately, then I think we will solve the problem. Otherwise, it will only remain a discussion.
All right. On that note, then we'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Please note that plastic is a big problem. It's a threat to our existence, and we need to do something now. It's already too late, but it's not too late to start something afresh. Let's all make it a movement and say no to plastic. The Prime Minister has ignited the flame. Let us keep the fire burning of saying no to plastic. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's it from me. See you again next time.